This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number's 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And Joe Biden is showing his age again. You know, it was really bad when he had the campaign slogan of, what was it? It was something really, really old.
I know he changed the name of his bus to the No Malarkey Tour or something like that.
Yes, that was it. No Malarkey. How old are you, man?
I have heard suspicions, theories that in actuality, one of his campaign members is a Hillary mole who has been giving him really bad advice. Tell him, go right ahead with it, Mr. Biden. Malarkey, that'll really get to the millennials out there.
How does Hillary benefit from this?
Well, she could still run.
That's a scary thought.
I do believe that she's waiting for the opportune moment to swoop in and put her name on the list. I mean, she wouldn't be able to. And here in New Hampshire, she wouldn't make it on the primary.
Okay, but that's good.
But she could still run.
Well, yeah, I mean, anybody can still run up until, I think, the day of the actual election. But if she's going to run again, I would think that she would want to win. And if she can't even be in one of the first primary, isn't New Hampshire the first primary in the nation? Correct.
But, I mean, according to Hillary, she did win. She got the 2 million more votes or something. So if you
mean nationally?
Correct. So
okay.
So Dan, the electoral college,
right.
Well,
that's different from not being qualified to run in a primary.
Well, I don't think any of them are qualified to run. Period. But
well, they're qualified to run. They're just not qualified to rule.
Correct. That's where I was going with that. They're, in their mind's eye, they are the right choice. They can fix it all. All they got to do is get their hands on that power, and they could change everything. They can make it all better. But we know the truth that they're just nannies. All of them, on both sides, by the way. Just a bunch of nannies.
I found it odd that Joe Biden did ultimately go with no malarkey on the side of his bus instead of something like no BS or something that would have actually appealed to the younger
crowd. Right, and that's what he needs. He needs the younger crowd, which...
I mean, he's got establishment Democrats, and I think that's it.
I don't know that he has any of them. I think that I don't know anyone who likes him. So here, for example, prime example, my boss, she's a lefty. This is at the post office.
Uh-huh.
She's from Vermont, of course. She's of course she's a Bernie boro.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But to bring out the bubble that these people live in. Of course, we have kind of a divided workplace. So there's a little on the left, a little on the right, and then there's me, of course, and I'm really the only one who'll talk politics because I can get away with it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of quiet as to where they stand, but I think the news was playing and Biden got brought up, and I think I said something to the effect, "Creepy old Biden, creepy old Uncle Biden."
Yeah.
And my boss, she looked at me, she's like, "Well, what's that all about?"
JoeBiden.info.
And I'm like,
what that's all about.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you don't know anything about Biden sniffing kids and having kids on his lap, and he's
talking
creepy.
About them rubbing his leg hair and learning about roaches and just all kinds of...
She had not heard any of these stories. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, she's a Democrat. She's always asking me which candidate she should vote for. I'm like, well, if you got to vote Democrat and there's a gun to your head, you vote Tulsi.
Yeah.
And no, she had never heard any of these stories. And I'm like, what rock have you been living under? This guy, that's all you have to do is just Google Biden.
Yeah.
And at least one of the top picks is going to be him sniffing some kid. But she was oblivious. She had not heard any of it.
Despite his weird fascination with young kids, he seems to be completely out of the loop and incapable of reaching people who are younger with his politics.
Yeah, he's like an old Monopoly piece. He needs to be phased out. He is seriously in another time.
Yeah. So coming to us from TechSpot, politicians rarely have anything good to say about video games, and former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden is particularly unimpressed by the industry, calling developers that he met at the White House creeps and arrogant, who make games that teach people how to kill.
Like the military doesn't do any of that.
Well, yeah, they certainly do, but video games kind of don't.
Well, I mean this is an age-old debate as to whether
not for anyone under 30, not even for anyone under 40.
I mean, the age-old debate is that video games make us violent,
right?
Which is
nobody under 40 even what's the word I'm looking for? Even entertains the possibility.
Well, all you have to do is look at the stats. Violent crime, homicide, it's all going down. So more video gamers are actually present, and yet violence is going down. So how is that? Where do you get off saying that?
Well,
playing Call
correlation
of
certainly
Duty
doesn't equal causation,
right?
So I'm not going to say that the two are linked, but violent crime is definitely on its way down.
Except, well, I mean, what about violent? And the pro violent video gamers will say that the school shootings are going up, and that's where you get these nutty kids who. When
you say pro violent video gamers, you mean the anti video game people?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's their contribution.
Is school shootings?
School shootings.
I mean, you might as well blame Marilyn Manson and Eminem.
And Doom.
And of course they did. But it's just, people need a scapegoat to blame when something horrible like that happens. I don't really blame them for that. I just wish they would find a better outlet.
Well, he's got to blame something, and he's been on this bandwagon since the beginning. He's always been against the video. He's always been on the video games are bad for you side of the debate.
It's curious that he would call someone a creep. I mean, his nickname is Creepy Uncle Joe.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone else has called him that, but if he comes to Keene, which I'm sure he will, and I'm available, I want to ask him if I can stroke his leg hair while he sniffs my hair. I
think he was in Peterborough, just a town over. And he did have some people in the crowd who stood up and asked him why he was so creepy. And then
I wouldn't even do that. I would just embrace the creepiness. Hey,
and about the Ukraine,
I stroke your leg hair,
and about the Ukraine money.
See, I don't care about any of that. That's just corrupt politics crap. I don't care. I mean, that's what politicians do, is they abuse their positions for their own personal benefit.
I think that he would. He would rely on his old age, and that he does live in a different era where it's okay to have a kid sitting on your lap and, stroking their head. Because back
they stroked his leg hair, apparently.
Oh my God.
Have you seen the animated cartoon of it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so someone took his speech and they made an animated cartoon to go with it. It's phenomenal. We have to watch it at the break.
Is it the No Agenda clips?
No. It's way better. So Biden, who is currently campaigning to become the Democratic nominee for the 2020 presidential election, which is kind of like running John Kerry against George W. Bush when you really think about it. It's like the most bland, boring Democrat you can find against a Republican who just everyone hates George W. for slightly different reasons.
Right. And
you're still going to manage to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think any of them. Warren, Steyer, which, by the way, I think I've gotten like 20 plus pieces of mail from Steyer, and I don't even know who the hell he is.
I don't either.
He's just some rich guy. Who else?
He just pops into my feed and my YouTube videos from time to time, and I just keep scrolling.
I mean, no one likes any of these guys.
But
I do believe that they could get behind Hillary, and I do believe she's going to swoop. I think she's going to put her name in the hat. She's just waiting for more heads to roll, more people to jump out of the race, and she's going to come in and she's like, well, I didn't really want to run, but it looks like I have to, because just look, none of these guys are going to beat Trump, and I'm the only one
who has lost to Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Who stands a chance in hell. So I'm just going to have to take one for the team and put my name in the hat.
And people would buy it.
Yes, they would.
Despite the fact that she is literally on record as losing to Donald Trump.
Correct.
People would still buy into this idea that she somehow is the only one who can beat him.
Yep.
I guess it's all that political machinery she has backing her. 855-450-3733. What do you think about the Democratic frontrunners? That's 855-450-FREE, as in free. This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number's 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And here is a Liberty update from LibertyCon. Don't miss these two very special debates. First is Government Necessary. This debate features David Friedman, who is Milton Friedman's son, and Timothy Sandifer. David will be arguing that government isn't necessary, while Timothy will be taking the ridiculous approach that government is necessary. Second, does capitalism require government intervention? In this debate, Gene Epstein, the economics editor for Barron's, will debate Stephen Pearlstein of the Washington Post. Epstein will argue against intervention, and Pearlstein will argue in favor of it. Be part of LibertyCon. LibertyCon is a unique Liberty convention, April the 3rd through the 5th in Washington, D.C., for people who want to network with more than 70 pro-liberty organizations for career advancement or business and internship opportunities. Visit LibertyCon.com for more details on the incredible list of speakers, events, and student discounts. That's LibertyCon.com. Use code FTL for a $10 discount. Now, we're making fun of creepy Uncle Joe, because Joe Biden, he sucks. And he so overwhelmingly reminds me of John Kerry that I can't believe Democrats are going to make that same exact mistake again.
I think he is not as boring as Kerry. Kerry was just boring. But at least Biden has so many gaffes that, I mean, he's just everything that comes out of his mouth can be snipped and made fun of.
That's an excellent point. Speaking of, I forgot to pull up that cartoon during the break, but before we get back into making fun of Joe Biden, let's go to the phones. We got Tom calling from Hudson, New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Speaking of the presidential primaries, I've got a couple of points to make. I've been doing the town halls and checking out the candidates. And one thing at Exeter High School, where Bernie Sanders was going through the usual garbage, he also made a very valid point about the news media. And he said that if he were to slip and fall on a banana peel up on the stage there, that is the one thing that they would report. Nothing about the economy or health care or any other stuff. They would report that he slipped and fell on a banana peel.
So Sanders is essentially saying that the media is biased, fake news. That's fake news.
They're biased towards whatever gets people to watch, and because you've got a million couch potatoes with their thumb on the remote, and there's cartoons and pro wrestling and football on the other channels and soap operas, and you've got to keep them glued to it. And Bernie Sanders slipped and fell on a banana peel is something that will keep them watching a lot more than anything boring. And voters like that are unqualified. They have no business voting if they don't care about the issues. But I also
I don't know if Sanders is correct. I don't think it's that, people are disinterested in his economic positions and things like that, because the New York Times, MSNBC, all of those, they will talk about Joe Biden's and Elizabeth Warren's economic ideas. I think it's just that they don't like. I think it's just that they don't like Bernie Sanders.
This is true. They are trying to railroad him, and it doesn't. But you're right, Tom. All you have to do is look at the last debate, and all anyone heard from that silly debate was the hot mic, where Bernie was saying, or Warren was calling Bernie a liar, that you lied to me on national television. That's all we know about that debate, because it was just so boring. But you're right. The news media is only going to report on things that the couch potatoes want to, that'll get them interested, and they're also trying to railroad Bernie.
And can I bring up something else? I also have been following Tulsi, and she is pretty much the same as the others on the positions on the issues, except the one major one as a member of the National Guard currently, and as a soldier who's been deployed to Iraq, and as such, and a member of Congress since 2012. Your experience in Congress or House Foreign Affairs Committee is pretty much equivalent to if she was in the Senate all those years as far as political experience. Andrew Yang, President of the United States is not an entry-level job in politics, but she's against the wasteful regime change wars. And I think that, as much as so many people believe that Barack Obama would pull the United States out of Iraq and then he reneged on that, hey, I think Tulsi, watching her on the stage, going to these town halls, this is an issue of great personal importance to her, and I think that she would actually deliver on that. And,
that is why I wouldn't vote for her in the 2020 election. That, and because I don't support actually voting in presidential elections. I would do it, but only because the person I would vote for wouldn't win anyway. But Tulsi Gabbard, we've heard these stories about peace and stopping regime change wars and all of that before, and it was in fact Barack Obama and the lies he told us about it that caused me to become a libertarian. Yeah,
now I think Tulsi would actually do it, but that's, if you have to pick terrible a Democrat or even worse Democrats, and this is only the primary, and there is no libertarian primary in New Hampshire, and there
was just a libertarian primary in New Hampshire. It was won by Vermin Supreme.
And, okay, so then that's over, and if I'm still undeclared, then I have the option of going in there and picking up a Republican ballot and voting against Trump by voting for Bill Weld. But,
I would cut off my head before I wrote down Bill Weld's name on any voting form whatsoever. I would vote for Trump before I voted for Bill Weld.
Anyone from Massachusetts.
At least Trump didn't claim to be a libertarian. Despite all of his flaws, at least he didn't do that.
Yeah, so, if there's a real libertarian running in November, then I'll vote for the libertarian. But while Tulsi is trailing in the polls, I do have to mention...
Yeah, she has no chance of winning the nomination.
If you vote against whoever's the best candidate, if you vote against them because they are trailing in the polls, then you are as guilty as the rest of them who vote for somebody worse. So never mind the polls and never mind Iowa, because they pick corn, we pick president. It's our job to evaluate the candidates. Yeah. I don't like any one of them, actually, but I would say that all of the Democrats being equal, except that Tulsi would actually pull the United States out of the regime change wars, and she would actually do it, and the others and she would end the failed
That's putting a lot of
drugs.
faith in a person who's from a class known to be liars, Tom.
But
so was Obama. Hope and change, brother.
You would have to be there at these town halls and listening to her.
Yeah, it's called charisma. Sociopaths and psychopaths, they get very far running on just charisma, just getting people to believe their lies.
Tom, you said you've been to a lot of these meetings here in New Hampshire. What has the turnout been for each candidate?
Well, the biggest ones were for Warren and Sanders. Those are the humongous ones. I didn't go to, I missed one I forgot about for Pete, the homosexual guy from Indiana.
Tom, thanks for the call. We're heading out to break. More about Joe Biden and probably Tulsi Gabbard coming up. This is Free Talk Live. What do you think about the current Democratic field? 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about whatever is on your mind. That number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And I want to tell you about the Edge wallet. It's the mobile wallet that I actually use in day-to-day life. This is not just me talking about something that we're advertising. No, I actually use the Edge wallet for both personal reasons and for Ladies' Night Out, which is being planned for Forkfest. But it's a wonderful mobile wallet. You don't have to do any of that 24-word passphrase crap, none of that. All you need to do is set up a username and a password. And from there, you can log into Edge to recover your cryptocurrency if you get a new phone or if you break your old phone or whatever. As long as you know your username and password, you can always get back into it. It will buy, sell, trade, and securely hold cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Core, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Stellar, and many more. With a tagline of Secure Your Freedom, they've been building it since 2014. You can check out more about it at edge.app. That's edge.app, or just look it up on the Google Play and Android stores, or Google Play and iOS stores. Sorry. It's the best mobile wallet out there. But, surprise, we've got Mark calling from the Northern Marianas Islands. Mark, welcome back.
The one thing you can say about Trump is at least he didn't call himself a libertarian.
Yes. I will.
By the way, what was that back there? Was that a bird? Or was that your chair squeaking?
Closing the window so there wouldn't be any noise, and made noise.
Yep, you sure did.
I would definitely agree, though. I mean, I was the one who said that. Now you were just kind of poking fun at me for saying that. But yes, the one good thing that Trump did was not call himself a libertarian.
I mean, I suppose that's fine. Doesn't mean anything to me particularly. But I heard an interesting theory you guys were talking about, Tulsi Gabbard there, and I heard an interesting theory that I thought I'd share. I think I endorse the theory. I'm not going so far as making a prediction here, but I just kind of like it. It appeals to me. So she was the only one. She quit the Democratic National Convention. I mean, she was on the path to power. And this is the reason they hate her, is because she quit the DNC to support Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, wasn't Tulsi Gabbard like the Debbie? What was her name? She was like what was her position within the DNC? I guess is my question.
In front of me, but
Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah, that's the name I was looking for.
Schultz, yeah, who replaced Kane, who stepped down presumably to get the VP slot.
Right.
So that Wasserman Schultz could take over and do a better job for Clinton, presumably.
So they don't like Tulsi Gabbard because she supported Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton?
I believe I believe that to be true. That certainly sounds completely believable. Basically, as soon as Tulsi Gabbard came out, they were calling her every name in the book. I mean, hit pieces were out on this lady from the very beginning. And, if you believe that the media tends to slant left, I do, then they're going to be paying attention to leftist politics. Leftist politics says that Gabbard's a bad person because she betrayed the party, and therefore everything that Gabbard does needs to be attacked. So when Gabbard says, these are foreign wars of aggression, well, that needs to be attacked. And this is what's turned the left to be now less anti-war than say they could be otherwise. It's just a theory.
If she adjusts some of her positions, I dare say that Tulsi Gabbard would be more at home within the Libertarian Party than Bill Weld was.
Yeah, I think that some adjustment would be good. But she's basically your standard issue leftist on every domestic policy out there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not.
What is a standard issue leftist?
What's that?
What is
leftist? They're socialists.
A standard issue leftist? I mean, like that's all trans rights, gay rights, kind of stuff.
Basically.
Okay.
But I mean, every form of socialist policy. I don't. When it comes to new created rights, I tend not to be very, supportive. But I'm supportive of people to dress how they wish and act how they wish, so long as they don't aggress against other people. So I'm for gay and trans rights, if that's what we're talking about. But I'm
for individual rights, and I imagine you agree.
So, let's say for a second that Sanders manages to pull this off, and it looks like he quite possibly could. I can't see why creepy Uncle Joe would make the cut. He's the single worst choice the Democrats could make.
I don't know. Elizabeth Warren is pretty bad too. She does happen to be a female, though. No,
not creepy, and she doesn't have years and years and years and years worth of policy that you can point back and say, "Well, you said something different here, Joe." He's the consummate flip-flopper.
Yeah, but so was Hillary, and that didn't seem to really hurt her any. I mean, so is Trump, and that didn't hurt him any.
Agreed. Maybe we're in a new area of flip-flopping. I don't know. I just don't think that it would be the worst choice they could make is to put Biden in. And I'm talking from a strategic standpoint, not from a policy standpoint. They all suck from a policy standpoint. They're Democrats. But if Sanders manages to get in, whose policy sucks, maybe he'll feel some loyalty. Sanders is the closest on foreign policy, although he doesn't trumpet it like Gabbard does. He's the closest to Tulsi on foreign policy. And I'm sure he likes her quite a bit because she stepped up and did something. She's a woman. She's an ethnic minority. She's a religious minority. And I tend to think that she may draw in some votes that Sanders couldn't draw in on his own, especially with her anti-war policy. And it's not like Sanders is a young man. And the way he hollers all the time, he's probably going to go out in a blaze of glory as opposed to lingering for a while.
I would hope that Tulsi has more self-respect than to be Bernie Sanders' running mate, if that's what you're getting at.
I think that that's what's going to happen. And why not?
Because Bernie Sanders sucks on everything. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard sucks on everything too, except that one position, which is somewhat tolerable.
It does make sense. They are, he would be looking for a female.
Oh yeah,
that's
a given.
From the other side of the country, so they have their, they can play both sides. And she has supported him, so I think it makes perfect sense.
Also, Sanders is pretty good on the war issue. It's just that he doesn't talk about it as much.
Well, as I understand it, he tends to vote yes on the war issues when it means that the state of Vermont is going to get money to build more bombs and aircraft parts.
He's a career politician?
Well, yeah. And that's kind of the issue. If it's going to make the United States wealthier or whatever, then he's going to vote yes on the war.
We're not talking about who's going to be a good president here, Aria. We're talking about who's going to be the president here, Aria. And
I don't think it will be either one of them.
Well, who do you think will get the nomination?
If they send Sanders and Gabbard against Trump, it will be Trump and Pence again.
Well, it's going to be Trump and Pence again anyways.
Not necessarily.
I think this is a given at this time.
The thing is,
a whole year out, I'm saying it's a given.
The thing in 2020 is to run the most bizarre, obnoxious, weird candidate that you can find. And the Libertarian Party so far is doing that with Vermin Supreme.
Yes.
Vermin Supreme, John McAfee, as president and vice president, would beat Donald Trump. Simply because the shenanigans around those two are impossible to not watch.
I don't know that we can trust John any longer. He's a liar at this point of the game.
And nuts, but he's always been nuts, and he's always kind of been a liar.
That McAfee can recover from the eat his
schlong
situation, and the way he could do that is simply to have an English dessert called Spotted Dick.
Yes, it would have been so easy. Or he could have bought a cow and named him Dick.
That would have all been disingenuous, though.
How is he? But how is he actually going to do it? It's not.
There was no ambiguity about his bet. Everyone knew what he meant.
Look, it's a joke, and he was wrong, and people make predictions.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Conan.
And we're making fun of creepy Uncle Joe and his attempts to destroy himself in any rapport he might have with people who are under the age of dinosaurs, I guess. I don't know. Biden, the best way to characterize Biden, though, is definitely he's just a dinosaur. He is a relic of the past.
I think a lot of Warren's a dinosaur.
Yeah. Hillary, certainly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And a lizard.
Yep, probably. Yep.
And maybe even a clone.
And see, and that's what's dangerous. We have to watch out for these cloned lizard people.
I mean, I'm telling you, all they want to do is raise the Earth's temperature so to be more, beneficial to their cold skin.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Larry calling from Indianapolis. Larry, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey.
Hi, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I'm laughing like hell, because the Democratic candidates, who in their right mind is going to take them serious? I listened to the so-called impeachment hearing today. The Democrats are suicidal. I mean, the minute you start to hate, then you're going to end up committing suicide sooner or later. You got Joe Biden. Who's going to take him serious? And Elizabeth Warren, she is so daffy, I tell you. Their candidates are nothing, and Trump is going to humiliate them. I think what the country should do is come together behind Donald Trump and give him a Congress and the Senate next time so that he can bring this country back into what it can really be for the future. But the Democratic candidates, man, I tell you, in this impeachment hearing, I mean, you young guys in there, you ain't got no future if we don't elect President Trump again.
We don't have a future anyway. I mean, let's just be clear about
why
that.
don't you commit suicide now?
Because I want to ride the train wreck until it comes to an end.
Right off the cliff, off the side of the cliff.
Well, you might as well ride it with a champion like Donald Trump.
I don't know to what extent Donald Trump is a champion.
He's our champion.
Well, I'll disagree with you. I disagree with you with all of the Trump concepts there, but I do agree with you on the Democrats. They are at this point in the game.
I don't think Larry is actually being sincere. I don't think he actually likes Trump.
I am. Hey, I'm colored too. I tell you, I was a 64-year-old colored man right here in Indianapolis for many years, right?
Right.
And I'm a Democrat basically, but with the stuff they had Hillary the last time.
What were they thinking?
Well, I mean, hey, Trump's been a Democrat his whole life. Do you think he changed 2 years ago? Do you think he's still a Democrat?
He's a good man.
I think he's done whatever was most politically expedient at the time.
All his buddies were Democrats, and he's trying to sell them houses.
Yeah,
hotels.
Well, my friends here in town have rebuked me because I go along with Donald Trump, but you know what I'm looking to get next time?
Now, hold on. You're being serious. You actually support Donald Trump?
I do support him. I adore him because he is bringing this country back to prominence in the world, and he is beating our enemies down. Hey,
what enemies?
I'm getting a MAGA hat.
You do have a MAGA hat, right?
I'm going to get one as soon as I find out how to order one without getting online. But I'm sure I can find a friend to help. I'm a dinosaur, I tell you. But, how old are you guys? In your 40s?
I just turned 41 yesterday.
Okay, well, you got a long way to go, but you're going to find out that people like Donald Trump are a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, and they
I would agree entirely with that.
to help us get back on course.
And I hope it stays once in a lifetime.
How's that now?
I hope it stays once in a lifetime. If he wins in 2020, then it's twice in a lifetime.
So I guess you agree with the Greta Thunberg girl too, right?
No. I don't think any of us in this room are on board that silly train. That train is.
Man, there comes the speaker. Some Congress.
I don't know or care if the climate is changing because it's going to do what it's going to do, and humans are either going to.
It's going to do.
Yeah, humans will either adapt or they will die out.
That's right. You adapt because the human species is really like a cockroach, right? They can survive. And a baby can thrive. Sometimes you talk about you got babies born with deficiencies and so forth, or crack addicted. They can thrive all the way through that, and kids can thrive too. But there's nothing we can do if we do have climate change. But Greta Thunberg is a comedy clown, and she got the Person of the Year award from people that, another thing I admonish you guys to do the last time I told you, is find out what's behind political correctness, and that is the Civil Rights Act of 1964. George Wallace explains that in his speech. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, a hoax.
What do you consider to be political correctness?
All this stuff that's going on now, like our kids. I was over the State House today. This one senator, he's maybe my
Can you give me a
age.
specific example?
Here, This one sportscaster, right, was working. Had been here calling game for Colts for many years. They had an intern to come and work and to learn how to be a sports announcer. Our sports announcer, Bob, he said the N-word in passing as just some other sportscaster had used it in that pretext. She got mad and called in on him and got him fired from his job. And they fired her, too, because we're teaching our kids that if you heard a word, the N-word, or if you heard somebody talk about slavery or something like that, they're not supposed to do that because that makes you emotionally, that traumatizes you.
Triggers.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the political correctness deal is carrying on so much that you can't even have no fun no more. And that's all because of the Civil Rights Act. It penalizes you for speaking your mind and your thought pattern, or something you done many years ago.
I've never hesitated to speak my mind, and I've never been fired from a job, and it certainly wasn't because of the Civil Rights Act that I held my tongue.
You know what political correctness? You see people that are losing their jobs over what they say all the time.
Well, for being assholes.
You want to know what that means. It's in that, it's contained in George Wallace's speech he made in '64. But I just say, you young people, you need to buck up and stop being so tender and stop being unrealistic for somebody like Chelsea Gabbard, which is an ignorant person, and Bernie Sanders is a sick old man, and Joe Biden is a lunatic, and who the other boy, Pete, he's got nothing coming. So we need to get behind our champion and rush him on to victory like he's going right now. He's our champion.
Well, who knows? Pete might like to get behind Donald Trump.
Ooh.
I certainly will not. I can't believe that, Larry, thank you for the call. I can't believe that he was actually serious in his support for Donald Trump. Now, Larry has talked extensively here on the show about things that the police have done that's just absolutely horrific. And Trump, all the way, is one of the thin blue line supporter people. He's all about that law and order type of crap, or at least he claims to be.
He's good friends with Arpaio.
Is he?
Yes, he is. That's right.
He pardoned Arpaio. Was going to.
But is that because he's good friends with him and he agrees with him, or he just was trying to appease the base who supports Arpaio?
He's friends with him.
Is there a difference? I mean, if he's going to do things to appease the base that likes Arpaio, is there really a difference?
He's a populist. I mean, a lot of what he does is to make his base happy, even though he's been a Democrat his whole life, and I think he has spoken against a lot of these policies. But he's changed his tune in the last 2 years. He really has.
Yeah. But, I mean, does it make a difference what his motivation was and whether or not he was actually like friends or even approved of Joe Arpaio? He still pardoned him. The result is the same.
The result is the same, yes. But in my book, why he made the decision to do so does make a difference. Okay. And, of course, he's a populist and he's a politician, and that's just what these guys do.
Wouldn't all politicians qualify as populists, though?
Not necessarily.
Except maybe like your rare Ron Pauls?
Yeah, purists, yes. I think that most of them would fall into that category, but I think that there are exceptions. In fact, if anything, well, I mean, if all they do is preach to their base and just go right down the bullet points, for example, Sanders, he is definitely speaking to a certain type of individual. And he just
kids who just got out of college.
Kids who got out of college with a lot of debt and no job, and they live in mommy's and daddy's basement. So he's definitely preaching to a certain type. So yeah, I guess he's a populist as well.
855-450-3733. What do you think about the field of candidates? 855-450-FREE as in free talk.
Have you heard of LibertyCon? LibertyCon is not only a convention with great speakers like Whole Foods CEO and co-founder John Mackey and Nobel Prize winner Vernon Smith, but it's also unique because you get a chance to network with more than 70 pro-liberty organizations, one-on-one for the purpose of career advancement, business, and internship opportunities. Visit LibertyCon.com and use code FTL for a $10 discount on your registration. Learn more at LibertyCon.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And we've been talking about Joe Biden. We haven't actually gotten much into the news story here. Biden, of course, is running for president in 2020, and it seems like he is the official front runner, so says the media, although, as Conan has pointed out, I don't actually know anyone who likes Joe Biden. Of course, I don't know many people who like any of the Democrats.
Around here, North Keene all the way up to Walpole, I see Buttigieg signs everywhere.
Butt plug?
Butt plug. There are a couple of...
I can say that.
There are some Tulsi signs here and there. I've seen some... Yeah, a couple Sanders signs here and there, but
I see a lot of Sanders signs.
It seems to be mostly Pete.
Really?
And I don't know, but of course, I'm talking about a town that is made up of yuppies and farmers.
Well, you certainly drive around here more than I do, but I'm used to seeing more Tulsi Gabbard signs, and I guess Yang is the second most common that I see.
I've seen a couple of Yang signs here and there, but everyone wants that $1,000 a month. That'll really help us all out. Get some more of that free cheddar.
Some of that robots took your jobs.
What are you going to do? Robots took my job.
It's amazing that anyone would support that because, I mean, his plan for paying for that is a value-added tax, right? And so even if he manages to work things out where this tax actually pays for the $1,000 a month,
right?
It's just a matter of them taking $1,000 from you to give it back to you.
Well, he'll probably end up wanting to tax the robots as well. I mean, that's one of the arguments right there. So anyone making robots, sorry, you kicked out.
I think we should combine all their plans. Everybody should get $1,000 a month to go to a free college where you pretend to be an Indian so that you can compete with robots.
Well, of course. I mean, if any minority is going to beat the robots, it would be the Native Americans.
Yes.
With their spirits and their totems.
Yes. It's Ghost in the Machine.
Yes, exactly.
So anyway, on the subject of video games, Biden said, as you may recall, the criticism I got for meeting with the leaders in Silicon Valley when how many games are actually being made in Silicon Valley? It can't be very many. I think Blizzard is out there, and that's it.
I'm not actually sure about that. Where are most gaming developers? Where's Bethesda at? Are they
Bethesda is in Bethesda,
Seattle?
I think it's somewhere here in New England. I don't remember the state now.
Oh, that's Maryland.
But they're all, and they have their Canada operation as well. Canadians.
Yeah.
So all right, but Silicon Valley does make a lot of stuff.
Yes, but I don't think they make very many video games. So just the ones from Blizzard.
Maybe apps.
Rockstar Games is in New York, New York.
So anyway, when I was trying to work out an agreement dealing with them protecting intellectual property for artists in the United States of America, and at one point, one of the little creeps sitting around that table who was close to a billionaire, who told me he was an artist because he was able to come up with games to teach you how to kill people. Almost certainly did not happen, but that's probably the way this old man remembers it.
It does seem like 90% of his stories he heard from somewhere else. Way back when, 50 years ago, some story he heard, and he's just retelling it like it's his own. So, I mean, who knows if this even happened? But definitely...
Well, he seems to have actually met with
these
people.
He definitely has feelings for Silicon Valley and those young creeps and their video games.
Well, of course he was.
Video games.
Of course he would. He's an old man. He's scared of them that are video games. I mean, that's what old people do. As for which game executive
I'm
Biden
just
was...
imagining a video game right now where like there's cockroaches trying to climb up those blonde leg hairs and you're trying to smack them off.
Oh, my God. We could totally make that.
All right, the developers out there, you got your next game where you it's one of those tap games where you tap the screen.
A clicker game.
So you got your hairy leg.
I mean, you can download multimedia.
One hand smacking off the cockroaches, the other hand trying to like, stroke some young girl's head and bring her closer so you can sniff her.
Just pointing
Biden
out,
the game.
You can download Multimedia Fusion for free and make a clicker about an hour.
It's called Creepy Uncle Joe.
Creepy Uncle
or Creepy Joe. You can't put he's probably trademarked his name. You can't put Biden on it.
Stage 1 would be the cockroaches. Stage 2 would be trying to push the girl's head down.
It's like the theme song to Cotton Eye Joe, except for it's Creepy Old Joe.
So anyway, and then one of these righteous people said to me that, we are the economic engine of America. We are the ones. And fortunately, I had done a little homework before I went, and I said, I find it fascinating. As I added up these 7 outfits, everyone's there but Microsoft, which leaves out a lot of major tech companies and gaming companies. But okay, Uncle Joe, Microsoft and Windows, that's what you know of technology. I said, you have fewer people on your payroll than all the losses that General Motors just faced in the last quarter. So don't lecture me about how you've created all this employment.
I don't know. Did the creepy little kid actually say that he created employment, or they create industry?
He said that they are the economic engine of America. So, I mean, he didn't say they created jobs.
But that was his comeback, though, was you don't create jobs, which is how these politicians actually rate success, is how many people are employed. Well, I wouldn't say that is it's accurate. I mean,
well, certainly not. There may not be a whole lot of people in the gaming industry who are hired to make video games. In fact, it's a terrible industry to work in, probably the worst in the United States. But you have to have retail stores that sell those video games. You have to have people working at Valve and Origin, EA, that sell those video games. And all of those people wouldn't have jobs if there weren't video games to sell. GameStop, I hear, is going out of business.
I don't know. I just think the truest irony here of this whole thing is Joe Biden calling anyone other than himself
a creep.
Yeah.
Yes. And how long ago was this, anyways? This is the 24th. Oh no, this is
a recent story.
Yeah, this is an article from today.
But when was he in this meeting, though?
Oh, when he said it just a moment ago.
That was during Obama's time.
I don't recall.
During his vice president days.
I don't recall, and it doesn't specify exactly when this allegedly happened. But the whole idea is nonsense. Nobody's training to kill people by playing video games, much to the dismay of the American military, which would love to just slap some people in front of Call of Duty and have trained soldiers come out 24 hours later.
America's Army.
Trained drone pilots. Enforcers.
Now, I have heard that the Air Force is considering, or the U.S. Army is considering using like PlayStation-style controllers to maneuver their vehicles. But I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. I wouldn't be surprised.
I hate consoles.
Yeah.
Navy, keyboard and mouse.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So much more control than your stupid little remote control. If you're going to do it...
I'd rather use a controller to control a vehicle. You ever played a racing game with keyboard and mouse?
I would rather use a steering wheel to control a vehicle with foot pedals.
I don't know. I mean, foot pedals, yes. I agree with you about foot pedals, but
why?
I don't think it's necessary.
If you have your finger pedals here, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely...
I mean, this is the same reason I won't use a controller to play any console game when you're playing a shooter. I'm using my thumbs to aim. Yeah. Whereas, if I have a steering wheel, I have just so much more control over the...
You're going to aim a gun with a steering wheel?
I'm talking about a driving game.
Well, I'm talking about GTA, and I would rather drive a car in GTA with a controller than a keyboard and mouse. Have you ever tried playing Grand Theft Auto with a keyboard and mouse?
I have only ever played GTA with a keyboard and mouse. Huh. I'm great at it.
Interesting.
I can do third person. I can shoot back into first person.
I want to get online and play a GTA race against you.
I also want this to happen. We need to set a date for this.
Well, as you know, I still don't own 5.
Oh, this is the problem.
But one day.
I have 5 on Steam.
That's what I'm waiting for, a 75% off at least sale so I can purchase
what are you offering?
What is a
I was indeed. That's exactly what I was going to. You get loan games
a 5-year-old
game.
You're being called out. You're being offered to play on Aria's account.
I don't know how I feel about playing on someone else's account. But I will get the game soon. It's coming. It's down.
Okay.
It's in the charts. It's on the calendar.
Well, evidently, the New York City Police Department has figured out a $10 million way that they can hack into iPhones. More about that in a moment. 855-450-3733. This is free. This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
So Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com that allows you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash using dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started buying and selling Bitcoin Cash. Again, it's local.bitcoin.com. It's a great site, and I love everything about it. So, plus, it values privacy, and the state doesn't. Coming to us from MacRumors.com, New York law enforcement officials evidently operate a $10 million lab designed to crack iPhones. Have either of you heard anything about the whole iPhone hacking thing?
Yeah,
with the FBI?
I know a pretty considerable amount with a lot of stuff with the iPhone, considering I have one.
Really?
Yeah.
You do not strike me as the type who would use an iPhone.
I am an iPhone user for sure. In fact, I was an early adopter of the iPhone.
But not a Mac.
Not a Mac.
At least you aren't completely tainted.
No, the iPhone is their one really good device. That's the one thing.
Which series
and I
is
switched.
that?
I tried. I was like, I really like some of the things Apple's doing. I don't like. I want to try and switch. I tried switching to Android for about 8 months, I think it was.
Okay.
Then I just was like, I want to throw this thing against the wall.
What is the? I mean, they're cheaper.
Yeah. So,
but
it ultimately comes down to one thing, and my girlfriend's a Samsung, fanatic, and although recently she's been considering switching after watching me use my phone and how I, just easily do things, and the biggest thing that has always bothered me, and I think I would switch if it weren't for the Android, and this is everybody's like, well, you could change it. The Android keyboard is awful.
I mean, yeah, you can change that easily.
And I've changed
30 seconds.
Yeah, and I've tried many, many different Android keyboards. They're all equally terrible.
You can even install the Apple keyboard on Android, I'm sure.
I don't know about that, but that would be interesting to see and test if it's the same keyboard, because there's lots of things that Apple has done with their keyboard.
Oh yeah, I hear they finally added
amazing.
Swiping like Android has had for the last 4.5 years.
Yes, they did that, and it is better than it was on Android. I used SwiftKey and another one. There were a couple swipe keyboards on Android that I tried.
I use actual Swipe, and I love it.
Yeah, actually, Swipe was also available on iOS a long time ago, a long time before Apple added it officially.
Right.
But
that's the Swipe keyboard and not the Swipe technology, I suppose.
Yeah. Swipe, SWYPE is the keyboard. So I've tried that. The thing that I like about Apple keyboard, first of all, being able to switch between swiping and not swiping, I'm able to type much, much faster with two hands than with one. And I am able, but although the swipe is very nice if you're having to type one-handed, you can swipe with a thumb or whatever to do swipe words, and that's a fantastic addition.
Why couldn't you switch between both using Android? Because that's what I do.
You could, however, the function that Apple has that Android has not seemed to manage to do properly is hitboxes on the keys very predictably, invisibly in the background on an Apple keyboard. So if you're typing, for example, if you type the letter T, right, automatically the hitbox for the key H, right, will be bigger. It won't change in size on the keyboard, but when you go to actually tap that key, it's much easier to actually hit that key because it's predictively expecting you to hit that key because there are so many words that start with TH, right? It's a common, combination of letters. And extrapolating that, they have made hundreds of thousands of these kinds of combinations where there's these predictive hitboxes for keys, so it expects you to be typing certain things. So when you're quick tapping, right, with my big
all of
fat
these are
fingers,
features available on countless Android keyboards, though.
Supposedly, but I've not encountered it, and it's every time I've picked up an Android phone to type on it, it's just a mess. I just keep backspace, backspace, I just can't type. And I go to type on an Android keyboard, and it's just typo, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to type on this thing anymore. And that's literally all it comes down to. I use the apps and
that's
other
a
things.
crazy thing to say, considering damn you autocorrect was spawned by iOS and its keyboard.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because I don't know if people just weren't bothering to train their autocorrect or turn on the correct things.
It is important to do that extensively and consistently.
Yeah. So I went through the process of training my autocorrect so it always worked properly, and making sure that you and get rid of things like this swear filtering and all these things. I feel like that's some of that stuff. There are things for people that just don't pay attention, and that's okay. Then you can't make a fair argument. And if you were to say, if I were to tell you, you said, oh, yeah, did you know you could switch the keyboard? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. Well, then I'd be an idiot. But no, I tried a bunch of different keyboards and tried it and compared it. And it just, again, 8 months. I just tried for 8 months. And I was like, all the apps are fine. It really just comes down to this keyboard. I can't stand the keyboard. That's it. It just comes down to the keyboard. I do
to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, I do like the fact that a lot of iOS apps do tend to come in earlier or better with the upgrades on iOS. Because of the marketplace,
it's a more predictable ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
There's countless different versions of Android being run on countless different devices.
And with the Apple, they're able to just have the hardware and program for it, and they can expect people to pay money.
Now, is an iPhone, because I don't use them, I've never used an iPhone, and God willing, I will never own an iPhone. Is it encrypted by default, or is that something that people have to set up? Okay.
It's encrypted by default. However, Apple just made a wonderful announcement, which makes me hate them a little bit more, which is that because the FBI was complaining, and because Tim Cook is a loser, they decided to scrap the plan to encrypt the iPhone backups. So if someone uses an iCloud backup, you do not have an option to even encrypt that. So
backup to some other location.
Backups are backed up to the cloud on Apple servers. So essentially you're sending a copy of your phone to Apple servers that is not encrypted.
Can you turn that off?
Yes, you can turn that off. But if you don't turn that off, then you're sending all your data to Apple in a completely
And when does this take place?
Format.
What is the point of encrypting the phone then?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just don't send anything to the cloud.
Yeah, don't. If you want your phone, if you don't want them to have access to your phone, don't use.
But I mean, what would take place? The FBI would go straight to Apple and be like, we've got this shooter, other shooter, and we can't crack his phone, but we know he sent some stuff to the cloud. We want access.
Yeah.
And Apple would just say, here you go.
Maybe. Yeah.
Probably based on their history. I don't know. Yeah. They did resist when the FBI wanted them to build a back door into their software or something like that.
Yeah, so they're
good on them for that.
It's weird that they're not willing to, decrypt phones. They're not willing to manually decrypt a phone or build in a back door. But when it comes to the cloud backups, well, then all hands are off. I don't get it.
I want to tell you about my favorite cryptocurrency wallet, Edge Wallet at edge.app. Edge is the wallet I use more than any other, and that was true long before Edge Wallet became a sponsor of Free Talk Live. Edge Wallet allows you to buy, sell, trade, and securely hold your cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokens, Monero, Ripple, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and more. It's available for both Android and iOS, and you can download it via the Play or App Store or via Edge Wallet's website, edge.app. Secure your freedom with Edge Wallet.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And the next generation of wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to spend, earn, store, and exchange digital money in seconds. Divvy says you'll be able to send money around the globe in only a swipe and instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw it directly to your bank account. But there's no need to wait. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with their multi-tiered master nodes that allow anyone to earn by supporting the Divvy network. When the new wallet launches, because of Divvy's relationship with Western Union, Divvy will be in more than 200 countries, including the United States. You can learn more at divvyproject.org. That's DIVI project.org. Now, Johnson, you were talking about Apple's plan to not encrypt backups. Do you still have this pulled up in front of you?
Yes.
Want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Wait, something just got messed up.
But it's not a Mac, so it's...
No, I just accidentally double tapped on my...
It's Linux.
Nope, not Linux either. I just accidentally...
Are you running Windows?
Yeah, it's Chrome that I dragged a tab onto one another. Yeah, I run a bunch of different operating systems, actually.
I run almost exclusively Windows, but I'm a PC gamer, so that's kind of...
Exactly. And I also use Adobe applications, so it's really unfortunate that they don't run natively in Linux. I mean, you can use things like Wine and some other emulation-type programs to get it to work, but it's not a great experience. So I do have this story here from Reuters. This is about this backup situation. So Apple dropped plans to let iPhone users fully encrypt backups of their devices in the company's iCloud service after the FBI complained that the move would harm investigations. 6 sources familiar with the matter have told Reuters. The tech giant's reversal about 2 years ago has not previously been reported. It shows how much Apple has been willing to help U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies despite taking a harder line in high-profile legal disputes with the government and casting itself as a defender of its customers' information, which it clearly is not. In fact, that's such a big slap in the face to its customers. It's like, yeah, your phone's encrypted by default, so you had this impression that your phone's encrypted. But if you're using iCloud, guess what? We're decrypting all your information and storing it so that we can send it to the FBI. Yeah. That's like the biggest lie. Like, they're the biggest liars. If this is true, they are the biggest liars ever. And Apple, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this, now that this story is coming out, because this story was just coming out today, like, Apple potentially could take a huge stock hit. Like, who knows what's going to happen with Apple if people get wind of this, that Apple has been just lying to its customers.
Well, I don't know that it would hurt them too much. Of course, Coinbase did something sort of similar by pretending to fight the IRS and their demands for Coinbase's records, but then ultimately turning over and, giving them that information.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Apple is just playing the same game of, we're going to look.
Well, I mean, the phone's encrypted by default, so Apple could just not decrypt customers' information when it's backed up. Or they could say that only what's being backed up is encrypted data from an encrypted phone.
What about the fact that Apple even has a way to decrypt its users' phones?
Right.
That seems like it's a problem by itself.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, well, I mean, I don't know how exactly that's working, because it's not decrypting the user's phone. The phone is sending data, but it's sending a backup of data. So is that backup of data an actual backup, or is it an unencrypted back? Like, is it somehow the backup file being sent in an unencrypted way? Because you have to be able to decrypt the phone in order to operate the phone, right? So you open the phone.
Yes, but Apple, the company, doesn't have to be able to do that once the software they make is capable of doing it.
But they do. Well, they do in a way, right? Because it's the way the backup software works. You have to unlock, you're taking photos, then those photo files, right, in order to be read, have to be unencrypted.
Right.
Otherwise, they won't be readable as like a JPEG or whatever they are in terms of file format. So when it sends the file to the backup service, it's sending the JPEG file, not the encrypted data that would be stored on a locked phone.
Okay.
That's the difference, is that what happens is that encryption is happening when the phone is in that locked mode. The moment you unlock the phone, it's decrypted.
Right.
And that's why if the law enforcement grabs your phone while your phone's unlocked,
you're screwed.
You're screwed.
And that's why you should not have things like thumbprints and voice controls and whatever unlocking your phone.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation today because I was thinking about this, and Apple has included a thing called the panic mode where you can start rapidly tapping this. This is for like people who are like getting raped or something.
Okay.
So
well, let's go straight to 10 here.
So you tap.
People
tap
who are in distress
actually, no,
would also have been acceptable.
Actually, somebody, who was in distress. Actually, I think there was like somebody being attacked by an animal that was able to get their life saved because they went crazy on the thing, and the rescuers were able to show up in time or something.
This is on your phone?
Yeah, this is on every iPhone.
So
if you press the power button and you repeatedly like freak out on the power button, it will immediately dial 911.
That does not sound like a feature.
It will. It is. It
that
actually
sounds like a problem.
It comes up with a warning. So it makes an alert noise. So it's like a loud alert, which is useful too if you're in danger. So it makes a loud alert, and it starts a countdown, and it says that it's going to be dialing 911 in like 10 seconds or something like that, or maybe it's 5. I don't know. But it says it's going to be dialing emergency services. And it then also puts it in a state where if it does that, if it's dialing 911, right, it requires a password. The photo ID or the face lock
to prevent it from actually calling out.
No. So it will call out, or you can stop it from calling out, but it puts it in a locked mode. So it's like if you power off an iPhone and power it back on, that Face ID won't work. It requires a password. It requires whatever your password or passcode is. So if you've set a password and not a passcode.
So to be clear, the only way to stop the phone from dialing 911 at that point is to actually enter your passcode.
No, you could hit cancel.
Okay, so your rapist could just reach over and hit cancel.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, that does not sound like a good plan.
I'll just do this right now. I'm just going to freak out my phone and.
Okay.
So I can hit stop, and it's 3 seconds. Stop calling. So I stopped.
Justin's going to get us rated now.
But what happens is it stops, and now it says now it's locked. Now the phone is locked, so it'll put it. It requires a password.
So it has like a hard lock and a soft lock.
Yeah, it has a hard lock and a soft lock. Now, because I have my phone set to have a password. Right now, some people are foolish and they use that 4-digit passcode, which the police have a device, obviously, that can go through the phone and enter 1 through 1,000, right? Or 001, 002, 0003, whatever, and it keeps entering those numbers. And it can break a 4-number PIN code very quickly.
Yeah, it only takes 10,000 guesses. Well, it can't. 9,999 guesses.
Exactly.
Well, I guess it would technically be 10,000
because of 000.
Yeah.
Anyway. So 10,000 guesses, it can break that very, very quickly. But if you set a password, forget it. That's, thousands of years.
So what you're saying is somehow that little siren that went off, that little baby siren, scared off an attack animal?
No. So it's got 3 seconds. After that 3 seconds counts down. So it was a very short timer. I thought it was a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, that was pretty short. I was alarmed thinking that your phone was seriously about to call 911.
Yeah. So it was like 3, 2, 1, and it's going to call 911. So if you're doing that, chances are they're not going to be able to grab your phone and slap it out of your hand or do whatever before that phone dials 911.
Right.
So what I was thinking is actually if you're in the situation where you are pulled over the police, and I made this kind of comment today, if you're pulled over, you could actually use the police's own recording systems against them by calling the police using this function. Your phone is then locked, calls 911, then you have a recording of your interaction with the police that is available for a Freedom of Information request.
I mean, you could also just stream it live to YouTube and Twitch.
Yes,
by using Cell411.
If they say that they're going to take your phone from you and you go tap 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 3, 2, 1, my phone is locked.
That's very curious. What if you live in a state where they have wiretapping laws? Could they use that against you?
Nope, because you're calling the police. So they couldn't.
But they're being recorded.
Yeah, but they're being recorded by their own system.
We need to talk more about this because I have several questions and ideas. What do you think? Is it a good plan to have a phone that calls police like that? 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That phone number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And we're talking about tech issues and tech ideas here. And
So let me just clarify something here real quick on that dialing thing, right? So if I do that, the alert goes off and I stop it and doesn't dial 911, I've still put my phone immediately into requiring a passcode, which
would be helpful if you were pulled over by the police.
Yeah, so if I'm pulled over by the police and I want, nope, you don't get access, sorry, I just go crazy on my power button. That's a fantastic addition by Apple to make it so that they can't read the phone. Because the phone is encrypted. Once that passcode is up and active, they're not getting into that phone if it's a passworded phone.
Well, isn't that kind of a solution to a problem that Apple created, though?
No, not
by
really.
By having the whole hard lock and soft lock thing in the first place?
No, not really. The whole reason why people are able to get into the Apple phones is because all the hardware is the same. I mean, yeah, you could say that's an Apple-created problem because all the hardware is, basically you're working in the same platform.
No, I mean, sometimes you can get in using your face, right? And sometimes you have to enter the password. Now, isn't that a problem? Apple created this way for you to lock your phone so that it requires the password when they were the ones who implemented allowing your phone to be semi-unlocked using only your face in the first place.
Okay, so if your phone was unlocked using your face, I could prevent police or someone someone who I don't want to unlock my phone. I just would not look at you, or I would not look at my phone. So you would point the camera at my face, right? And I just won't look at the phone. You would have to force my eyes to look at the phone. I could literally just do this, and my phone won't unlock.
Have you ever dealt with police before, Johnson?
Yeah, I'm sure that they're trying to beat me, and I'd be like, let me hold the phone, so I'll point it at my face. Click, 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 click. Now my phone's locked.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. But, I mean, you could also just have it not unlock with your face in the first place.
Yeah, you could do that.
Which that's what I would do.
Annoying.
Okay, I mean,
I don't want to enter a passcode every 5 seconds. This is actually much safer because my phone is locked all the time.
Being secure is going to be a little annoying.
Yeah, but I find this idea to be much more secure because my phone is secure all the time. I mean, it's locked right now.
So is mine. I don't find it that difficult to enter my information to unlock it.
Then how long is your password?
It's long enough.
Long enough. My password is like 20 or 30 characters, so it's a long password. My phone is very well encrypted. So if they were to get access to it and try and decrypt this phone, they're going to be spending a very long time. So I don't want to be entering that
that's
password.
A bit overkill for a password based on modern computing technology, for sure.
Yeah, well,
mine's
really.
More like 12, I think.
The longer it is, the longer it takes.
Yeah, but it's not like they have the time and technology to crack a 10-digit password anyway in any reasonable amount of time.
I don't know that that's true. There's a chart about that, actually. 10 to 12 is actually not that long.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So what about this $10 million company in New York? Are they able to, in a
so I guess
a good amount of time, break a 10-character password?
Oh, yeah,
or are they just plugging it up to some device? It's just like backdoor already.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything more. I mean, I know we were talking about the Reuters article about how Apple has backed off and decided to not. I don't know if there's really much more to say about it than that. I mean, there's a lot more in this article, but it's like, is there really much more to say about the fact that Apple just backed down and they're like, we love the FBI? I mean, they rolled over and they're just allowing this, these backups to be read. That's,
or was this
really
is this what was discussed back in 2016 when the FBI came at them the last time? And Apple stood up to them and stood down a court order.
Yeah, maybe they didn't really stand up to them. They were like, okay,
well, we're gonna act like we're fighting for the folks,
right?
But when you come back, we'll get.
Maybe they didn't even drive that discussion. Maybe the FBI did. We'll let you appear this way by saying this, but meanwhile, we need access to the backups.
Correct.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's alarmingly plausible.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder what happened there. But now that the cat's out of the bag, I hope this goes real badly for them or they have to reverse this.
One would hope. So this story from the New York law enforcement officials, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance Jr. built and oversees a $10 million high-tech forensics lab built exclusively for the purpose of cracking iPhones, according to a new profile done by Fast Company. The lab is equipped with mind-bending hardware and a team of technology experts, many of whom are ex-military. This sounds like a conspiracy theory. I feel like I need to look more into this.
Already, $10 million isn't a whole lot.
No, you're not.
Not for a government department, even if it's just a little police department. I mean, $10 million it's a drop in the bucket. So how many guys do they have? Probably a couple, 2 or 3, a bunch of guys in charge.
Yeah, I don't know about this article. It came up in my news feed, and it seemed like something worth talking about, but it goes on to say Vance's team has thousands of iPhones at the facility in various stages of being cracked. I don't know how the New York Police Department could acquire thousands of iPhones that need to be cracked. I realize New York City is a very populated city, but we're talking about them illegally hacking into thousands of phones here.
Well, I mean,
how many people are they arresting for pot and confiscating their phones because of it? You know.
So you think there should be more than thousands? I
think there should be significantly less. I would expect maybe a dozen.
Oh no, I don't think so. I think every criminal case, and of course, a lot of them are going to be drug related. All their possessions are being acquired, and you're not giving them back until they have sufficiently been gone through, and sometimes never.
Okay, that's a good point.
I think 1,000 actually sounds like a small amount for a population of New York with all the crime that's going on there.
It goes on to say that there's a supercomputer that generates 26 million random passcodes per second, a robot that can remove memory chips without using heat, and specialized tools for repairing damaged devices to make them accessible once again. It sounds like they're running an iPhone repair shop. All of the iPhones are hooked up to computers that are generating passcodes in an effort to get into the iPhones. Now, this is one of the things I like about Android. If you attempt to boot my phone and get into it and you fail 10 times in a row, it wipes itself. Cannot be reversed.
Is that an app you're using on your phone, or that's your phone was set up default?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's part of a
feature
custom
that you can
ROM.
enable on iOS. I don't know that that's
what I would recommend, because I mean the alternative is to let them just keep trying crap. So just let the pictures go or whatever. I mean, but do you really care if the FBI has access to your pictures from the Apple backups or what? I imagine it's other information that is actually of concern here.
Yeah, so it's not a default on Android. It's actually, you have to have something like an app. Lock screen. You can enable lock screen security, but then you need something like an app to do automatic data wiping. Like there's an app called To Install Locker or something like that. That's one app.
And your phone certainly has to be rooted for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Vance has been a major critic of Apple and has called on the government to introduce anti-encryption legislation to make it easier for law enforcement officials to get into iPhones needed for criminal investigations. According to Vance, 82% of smartphones that come into the unit are locked, and his crime lab can crack about half of them. Vance believes it is not fair that Apple and Google can prevent law enforcement officials from accessing smartphones.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
You're keeping us from doing our jobs.
He says that law enforcement is entrusted with the responsibility to protect the public, but Apple and Google have limited access to information just because they say so. But that's categorically untrue. Law enforcement has no responsibility to protect the public whatsoever.
Right.
The Supreme Court of the United States has said that. So he's pretty much just...
And I wonder how many of these cases they're really just looking to unlock these phones to protect their own interests.
To erase
some other cop,
the guy who was recording.
Yeah, was pummeling some child or something.
Or shooting your dog, one or the other.
Yeah, shooting somebody's dog, accidentally killing somebody's family member.
So Vance says he's of the opinion that there should be a balance between protecting user privacy and getting justice for victims of crimes. That's not their call. It's not their call because there's something bigger here at issue. He speaks terribly, rather than their individual determination of where to balance privacy and public safety. What's bigger is you've got victims and you've got a law enforcement community who have strong imperatives that should be recognized and balanced equally with the subject decision makers by the heads of Apple and Google. I think it's unbalanced. So let's get rid of that Fourth Amendment thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just make law enforcement jobs easier. It's just not fair that, there is a Fourth Amendment that keeps them from doing this kind of crap. It's just, it keeps them from serving and protecting us effectively. 855-450-3733. Do you still have privacy? 855-450-FREE.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That number's 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And keeping up with the discussion of privacy, this article here caught my attention. The secretive company that might end privacy as we know it. Now, privacy as an idea is already pretty much dead. People carry around essentially spyware on all of their devices. Windows 10, notorious piece of spyware. Facebook app, spyware. Android, probably just spyware. Google Play, certainly spyware. Google Chrome, absolutely spyware.
But if you read the disclaimer, Aria, you would know that they were going to keep your records forever. And that they had access to your iCloud account.
And if you
had read it, you would know. But
and if you're ever curious and you actually sign into the Google Chrome browser for some silly reason, you can go back and look at your search history going back since your Google account has existed.
You could do the same thing with Facebook, by the way. I've downloaded my information. It went back all the way to the beginning. Every single conversation I've ever had, all in one neat little file.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's... and I'm still using it. And I still upload pictures of myself.
Facebook.
And
I still use Chrome.
If they wanted to find me, it would be a couple of clicks, and they would know exactly where I was, and they would know my whole family. They would know all my friends, and they might even have some they would have contacts as well.
And someone who's watching it on DLive, which you can find at dlive.freetalklive.com, is talking about, can you imagine privacy under capitalism? And I have to say,
this is
recklessness aside, because Facebook is unusually reckless with people's information. I would still rather Google and Facebook have my information than the state.
Yeah, but they're just going to hand it over. Google and Facebook are just going to. I mean, they have possession of it.
Yes, I'm assuming
if the FBI comes to them or the CIA is like, we have a suspected domestic terrorist.
Right. I'm assuming it's a zero-sum thing where it's either or. Either all of your information goes to the state or either all of it goes to Facebook.
So not Google. Like you would rather have
an actual capitalist.
You would rather
society.
have Google than, say, the Sesame credit system in China.
Oh, good Lord, yes. Yeah. Because Google at least has competitors. There's DuckDuckGo, there's Start Page, which isn't actually a competitor, but it's a way of using Google without actually getting tracked by Google. But, of course, there are things you can do, like Ghostery and NoScript and all kinds of fun little things. I don't remember the one that Michael Hampton, who used to do the show on Mondays, actually recommended, but it was something similar. There's the Brave web browser and other things. It always comes back to that question of, why do you want privacy if you're not doing anything illegal? That's always their favorite question to ask, and my answer is always the same. Well, do you shut your blinds before you have sex? Before you change clothes?
Have you ever been in a police department locker room? There's locks on every one of them lockers, but I don't get it. They're all police. They're all supposed to be.
Yeah.
They have locks on their cars.
So until recently, Hoan Tan That's greatest hits, and that almost certainly got pronounced incorrectly. Get over it. Included an obscure iPhone game and an app that let people put Donald Trump's distinctive yellow hair on their own photos. Then Mr. Tan That, an Australian techie and one-time model, did something momentous. He invented a tool that could end your ability to walk down the street anonymously and provided it to hundreds of law enforcement agencies, ranging from local cops in Florida to the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, they already have pictures of us. I mean, the state is all one organism, and we all went to the DMV to get our pictures taken and cataloged permanently in their system.
And let's not forget the 10-year challenge. Anyone stupid enough to take that one.
What's going on with this one now about liking steak and eggs certain ways or anything like that? I get the sense that it's in the same vein, but what information could the FBI or NSA or even Facebook possibly be getting from this?
It might not be an agency. It might be Skynet learning. It's possible.
It is.
Google might be Skynet, and all it is an AI. It's learning from us. And of course, the 10-year challenge, that was definitely some agency. They got all kinds of faces on record. I mean, it's to update their technology.
And the biggest argument I saw in favor of that was people saying things like, "Oh, well, face it, you're already putting these pictures on Facebook anyway." Yes, but this is a clean sample. You might have a picture of a dog as your profile pic or something, or just some random politician or whatever, or even a meme. But when you do the 10-year challenge and they search for hashtag 10-year challenge, oh, look, here's clean data of this person 10 years ago and this person now. Right,
and they could compare it to an actual 10-year-old picture.
Yeah.
And so they can put that into the data. This is how much a person should age in 10 years. Go with it.
Yeah. So even if the FBI or the NSA or the CIA or whoever didn't plan for that and didn't create it, it's silly to think they're not using that massive amount of data to improve their aging software.
Right.
Because of course they are. So they already have our pictures. It's just a matter of the state putting cameras everywhere and developing facial recognition system that allows them to instantly identify people. And doesn't that already exist?
Well, you have a lot of cameras out there. Half the population have Ring doorbells now, but there's a camera on this house, and I'm sure there is a couple more people down the street who have cameras.
I would say that private security cameras, though, are in a totally different league than what they have in the United Kingdom.
Correct. Well, yeah, but in this country, the law enforcement has to actually go out, knock on doors, and like, hey, we noticed you had a camera. Could we use that information to bring a criminal to justice?
Go away, pig.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, especially I'm thinking like stores, stores will give that up all the time.
Yeah. Well, if you're using Amazon's Ring cameras, that information is they have incentive programs to get people to buy these cameras where there's a discount where all of your information is freely available to the police.
Right.
They offer
and hackers.
Yeah.
That's not a story you hear often.
Right.
But yeah, the Ring is getting hacked in all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, their cameras are not great if you want any kind of privacy. And there's a lot that can be recorded. If you're having a conversation as you're walking into your house, that conversation is being recorded.
I'm always amazed when I come across like libertarians who have Alexa and things like that in their home.
Yeah.
Like Daryl, who used to host the show, he's got an Amazon Alexa in his home.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I'm never visiting you, man. Never. You have installed a government wiretap of your own volition.
It's not government wiretap, but it's one that could potentially become a government wiretap, right? Because these companies just roll over for any kind of subpoena of information.
But the only people who are and even the boomers aren't really even trying these days. Everyone uploads everything. Everyone's got these devices, these at ease devices, and that knows their song profile and whatnot, or can turn the lights on, and people don't care. They just don't because I guess they have nothing to fear because they don't have anything to hide.
Well, they have plenty to fear, and that's what's scary about the Internet of Things. They just don't know how terrified they should be, that their car can be controlled by a computer 5,000 miles away.
And or their electricity usage might be monitored, and they might get their door kicked in because someone thinks they have a grow out in their garage, and all they're really doing is raising chickens.
Yeah. I'm more concerned with the lack of tech security, though. Most people just assume that when they install that fancy little app that's going to allow them to monitor their heating, their air conditioning, their lights, turn on their stove, open their garage, and all of that from an app, that, it can't be hacked. But But of course it can. And as soon as we get to that point of the Internet of Things, as they call it, ransomware is going to explode to unforeseen levels. People are going to be driving down their self-driving cars, and suddenly they're going to hear a message saying, hey, you need to send 1 Bitcoin to this address, or we're going to steer your car into a tree.
Because you might know something. Who is the
Well, it doesn't matter if they know something or not. That's just how ransomware is. It targets 500 different people. One of them pays, and they profit.
Right.
The other 499 in the era of self-driving cars will just have their cars plowed into trees. 855-450-3733. There's more about this tech company, Clearview AI, and its groundbreaking facial recognition app. 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That phone number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And for years, libertarians of all stripes have wanted a directory of liberty-minded businesses, and we're helping to build one, Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a tool for our community. At its core is a directory for events, businesses, and digital content, and more. Listings can be rated and reviewed, and there's a bit of a social network to it, so you can connect and share with others. However, use of Liberty.menu is exclusively for individuals who reject the initiation of force, and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. If that sounds like you, then put your voluntarist ideas into action at Liberty.menu and use code FTL to get a special badge on your profile. That's Liberty.menu. Now, we've been talking about various security problems and privacy problems here, but speaking of just problems, let's go to the phones. We got James calling from Arizona. James, you're on Free Talk Live.
Is he muted?
I'm far more worried about, hey, what's up, guys?
Hi, James.
I'm far more worried about trolls like James DeMezio and Johnson Rice, Conan and Salata than anybody that works for the government.
Why?
The people that called me recently because of a piece of human excrement that calls himself some minister who's vacationing in the North Marianas right now, who has no right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Okay, James, you
But
can't
Conan,
say things like that on the air.
I'm glad. Say what?
You can't say that someone has no right to life on the air. See, this is what gets you charged with crimes.
If I were to quote James DeMezio, I'm on record that all cops should be shot on sight.
Yes, well, cops are aggressing against people.
So-called church in front of a so-called minister that Mark should be dead. Jim's friend said nothing about what a disgusting thing you said about
Actually, James,
cops.
you should know. I'm the high priestess of the Reformed Church of Satan.
I called to talk to Conan.
Why do you always want to talk to me, dude? Go ahead.
And everything you said about me after you got my call last week, you should thank God I don't live anywhere near you, because not only was it all...
Refresh my memory. It was such a long time ago. What did I say about you?
He's talking to me. He's on his 82nd DUI.
You, Conan. I said you should thank God I don't live anywhere near you. But I should
Near Conan? What did Conan say about you?
I'm impressed that if I were to make Johnson Rice with my bare hands answer for the despicable stuff he said about me in the public airways by pounding his head into pavement.
Why wouldn't you just have your brother take it to court? Is that why you're so angry? Is it an inferiority complex that you have a successful relative and you're a loser?
You are literally lucky to be breathing. You called me something that is so outrageous. I'm the type of guy that
a racist loser drunkard.
Why they should be breathing. Oh, all that stuff is not true. But a little.
How many DUIs have you had?
I heard it's 85 now.
85. How many DUIs have you actually had?
Like I've said many a time, all progressives have.
You constantly argue about the number of DUIs that we say. How many have you actually had? How many have you had? Let's hear the number from you. Can you be honest?
Conan, like I've already said.
Can you be honest about the number of DUIs you've had?
I've been doxxed, and then I had a Dewey 8 years ago. One. But Conan, I'm glad.
One. How come there are multiple records online from different dates?
James, hold on.
Dumbo.
Yep.
Dumbo. How many?
Conan, I've called the
Dumbo ears. Come on, Dumbo.
Shut up. He wants to talk to you.
James, that's not the way this
Conan,
works.
Why don't you butt in and say, "Oh, I know you."
Because I really don't want to talk to you. Here's my question for you,
Lackwood
dude.
Unkind. How many?
That's why.
Do you have
Jimmy Lackwood Unkind? How many DUIs do you actually have? Because there's so many records of you from different dates online driving drunk with your like mugshot attached, with your big ears. How many have you actually had?
James?
He's not. I heard a click.
No, I'm
Conan,
muted him.
like I said, they're trolls.
You just have an inferiority complex, dude.
I had a
You should live up to some of your other family.
Right,
you have some family that has some actual.
Let him ask me a question. Go ahead,
James.
Jimmy.
We're going to give you one shot here.
Don't
Try to ask Conan a question. Do your best to stay focused, because I realize you're talking right now, even though you're on hold. Do your best to actually direct a question to Conan.
Go.
That's all I've been trying to do, James, and you keep on talking over me and then spreading lies about me again.
No, that's been me talking over you.
Without any sense of shame, because you...
James.
Ask the question.
You're muted again. I need you to calm down, collect yourself, and ask Conan a question. Can you do that? Go.
You are the... James, you having fun?
Yes, I'm hoping that you actually stroke out live on air.
Hey, James, you are the ugliest man to be alive in New Hampshire.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot, James.
That little fat Pudge Atari boy, Citizen Spice boy, he's lucky I haven't smashed his head into pavement.
Who are you talking about?
Conan said that
apparently I'm a Spice
he
boy.
wouldn't call the cops when I called Cell 4-1 and that skinny four-eyed geek Conan Enchilada showed up. Are you going to show up with a gun, or are you going to show up with your fist like a real man, Conan? Because, again, the things you said about me last week after you dumped my call.
Said about you? I didn't say anything about you. I said what I would do.
Smashed your ugly face into pavement, as well as Johnson.
Okay, James, shut up for a moment. James, shut up. What did Conan say about you?
I didn't say anything about him. I said I told him what I would do.
Ugly man.
Well, I'm afraid that if I were to get into some kind of a battle with you, that you would swoop in on those ears and perform some kind of aerial attack on me. Like,
he might just swing his head around and
I know.
Pop, 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 pop.
Just create a hurricane.
I didn't say anything about him. I told him that I would call the cops afterwards. After I finished defending my friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's reasonable. But here's what I want to know. What does Jimmy do?
He drinks and gets DUIs.
He needs a job. He needs a job.
I believe that I discovered, because I was just curious, like that he has family as like a brother maybe or something that's a lawyer. I feel like he has an inferiority complex.
He has a lot of complexes.
Seen some things.
He needs a job and maybe even Jesus.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
All right, maybe ISIS.
He needs Satan.
He needs something, but he doesn't need us, because all we do is we just get under his skin. Obviously, that's because that's all he thinks about.
He hated me before he'd ever even spoken to me. I mean, he's a nutcase, and he's got at least 89 DUIs now.
Is it up to that? It was 88 when we started the show, and it's already 89.
Every time I talk to him, it goes up by a few. Yeah, James, thank you so much for the call. What's amazing to me about James is that he has absolutely no hesitation about calling a show that is actually broadcast on terrestrial radio,
right,
and making threats to people.
Right.
It's like that is a spoiled, petulant child who has gotten his way through his entire life.
I think he has this inferiority,
and it's not healthy.
It's, really.
And he has no idea that what he's doing is actually illegal for those people who care about that sort of thing, and that eventually it's not going to end well for him, because some cop or some FBI agent is going to be listening. They're going to go, "Hey, this guy is a psychopath."
If he hasn't already had sit-downs with certain agencies.
Yeah. So James, stop drinking. Get some help. Get some Jesus.
Unless
Satan.
You know what? Unless he's a troll and he's paid to do this. Have we ever thought about this? Have we ever talked about this?
No, he's not a troll. He's just a drunk, mouth-breathing dullard. 855-450-3733. Again, that's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. Even if you're a raving lunatic who has had too many drinks tonight, that number's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
So this company, Clearview AI, which we have been trying to discuss before we got a call from a drunk lunatic, the system whose backbone is a database of more than 3 billion images that Clearview claims to have scraped from Facebook, YouTube, Venmo.
I'm sorry, I'm just finding things out. Apparently, James's dad has both a silver star and a Purple Heart. What a disgrace he is in comparison to his family. His brother's a lawyer. His father was a math instructor who has a silver star and a Purple Heart, and he's just a drunk loser.
That might be. He might have grown up in his whole dad's shadow.
Yeah.
So to explain things to people, let's not give this idiot any sympathy whatsoever. During the break, James was searched by Johnson here, and he looked up his...
It's one of Johnson's specialties.
He looked up his mother's obituary.
I've never felt like actually looking him up before, and I'm like, okay, well, finally, asked for it. Let me just research this idiot a little bit. Oh, his mommy died, and his dad... Oh, but they're in Arlington. Why are they in Arlington National Cemetery? That's for special people. Oh, okay.
So the rabbit hole got pretty deep, and apparently James is the black sheep of his family, and he just sucks at everything. And we're not the only ones who seem to think so. We've got Nancy calling from Jackson, Michigan. Nancy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, hi.
Hi, what's on your mind?
This is my first time that I've ever heard this show, and I'm absolutely astounded at that. Crazy James. He's lucky the police aren't knocking at his door.
Yeah.
We think that some agencies have sat down with him probably multiple times.
Well, we know he's been served with at least one court order for threats he made against people on the airwaves.
He's threatening one of our our co-hosts' child. He's threatening a child.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's seriously disturbed. Yes.
Well, more than disturbed. He's absolutely insane. He's probably running around like Joker with the clown face.
Well, Joker had money. James doesn't. James just has alcohol and very large ears.
What? Large ears, huh?
That's what we found out from his DUI mugshots.
The 89th one.
Oh, you saw him? Serious.
Oh, yeah, he's got actual mugshots that are pretty easy to search for online. And he does, in fact, have at least, I think, 3 arrests for DUIs.
Even though he claims to only have one.
Well, congratulations to him,
Yeah, he's clearly a winner, right?
He is a winner in somebody's book, but I don't know who. So
his deceased mother's book.
Well, we hope. We don't know that.
Okay.
This might be some sort of inferiority complex. Maybe he didn't get along with his parents. We don't know.
Well, small hands or what? I don't know. But anyway.
Because it all went to his ears. all that extra meat.
That's so funny.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for the call. James he's been calling the show for a unusually long time, and even when he was banned from calling the show, he continued to stalk us on Discord at discord.freetalklive.com. I mean, there was an entire chat room on this server that was created almost specifically for James. I mean, he's as toxic as a person
It's called the toxic room. The toxic Jimmy room, right?
The toxic user room. Yeah. It may have been called the James room at some point. I'm not entirely sure. But Nancy, thank you for the call. Yeah, he's crazy.
He needs a job. He needs something to keep him occupied.
He's too crazy for a job at this point.
I don't know what he
He
could
shouldn't be
do.
around people. Maybe
Picking up trash off the side of the road, he could do that, right?
If they let him do it on graveyard shift, when there's no other people around for him to bother with his peculiar insanity.
But that's the best drinking time, Aria, graveyard
I
shift.
don't care if he gets drunk while he does it, as long as he does it and is actually productive.
Well, as long as he just has a vest, no keys to any vehicles.
So anyway, this company evidently took 3 billion images from Facebook, YouTube, Venmo, and millions of other websites.
Legally. They just grabbed them.
Yeah.
Because they're all there. They're just
They're
sitting
all
there.
public, yeah.
Any company who wants to do this could, if you have the data, if you have their server room, you could just go through and grab everything.
Can you imagine how much actual hard drive space is being used by Google and Facebook?
Desertfuls.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of facilities.
Having worked in IT extensively, I think about the terabytes of data that they're recording every single second, and I cannot imagine how they keep up.
Just the energy consumption.
Yeah.
Keeping them cool.
It's got to be expensive.
It's got to be a very expensive venture.
So federal and state law enforcement officers said that while they had only limited knowledge of how Clearview works and who is behind it, they had used its app to help solve shoplifting, identity theft, credit card fraud, murder, and child sexual exploitation cases. So at least they're not using it to bust people for pot, I guess. But it's not like that's a very great distance out, Until now, technology that readily identifies everyone based on his or her face has been taboo because of its radical erosion of privacy. Tech companies capable of releasing such a tool have refrained from doing so. In 2001, Google's chairman at the time said it was the one technology the company had held back because it could be used in a very bad way.
Yeah, anybody could attach that to a private database of whatever information they wanted to store whatsoever.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, so I could start a database about, so for example, let's just go completely high school and go about rumors of who slept with who.
Okay.
And I could start a database of that. And then if you were attached to facial recognition, you could get the access to that information instantly. If that information was attached to someone's face, you'd be able to instantly access a list of everyone that person has slept with.
And you could sell that to all the dating apps. It'd be like a little standby.
Yeah.
Where all right, I'm looking at this guy. I'm not even going to swipe on him until I run him through the database.
Because I'm still not clear how you're getting from facial recognition to, oh, yeah, we know this person has slept with this person.
Because any database it doesn't have to be official. That's what I'm saying. If somebody can create a database of information, right? Like I can create a database. It doesn't necessarily have to be honest. It's not vetted. I'm a private party. I can create any database
okay, so you can just take two
I
pictures of people and say, hey, they slept together.
Sure.
Or
it's based on rumor or whatever. Like, obviously you're going to want something that people are going to trust somewhat because that's what's going to make them use it. But let's say people are reporting this. Enough people are saying something, right? Like they're saying this is true and, there are people verifying it. Maybe it's still rumor, but that's how it works in high school, right? People are saying things and enough people believe it to make it that rumor somewhat viable. Even if it's not necessarily true, enough people believe it. So then it becomes part of a database. Let's say it becomes part of a database. That database doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but it could be attached to that information. Now let's take it one step further. Instead of it being a database of people just saying who slept with one another, let's say it's an ex has said that this person has a particular STD. And now, even though that's not an official medical record, it's part of a private database. That private database then gets linked to facial recognition because any facial recognition can be linked to any piece of information.
Right.
Any piece of information. It doesn't necessarily have to come from like official Facebook. If you have facial recognition, anybody can take all of that information and link it to whatever other information they want.
Well, I mean, that's the scary thing about
shopping
data
records,
mining, there are already data miners and AI that's not actually AI, but okay, let's call it that can predict whether or not a person is gay just by the language they use when posting on Facebook.
The first example during, when we were off, Conan gave was personalized advertisements.
Oh, yeah.
Based
definitely.
on facial recognition.
You walk right into a store and bam.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that. That's one of the first possible uses.
Which is kind of what they're already doing on social media.
Yeah. Right.
Amazon, Google, they know from your Gmail.
Right.
Yeah, but
Microsoft knows what you just
it's
bought on
easier
Amazon.
online because you're already identified. But if they can identify you through face, they can attach your face to that.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. If you're quick, you can still get on the air with us. That number is 855-450-3733. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
And Johnson.
And Conan.
And I want to say thank you to Dave Burns. He is tonight's amplifier. That means he's part of the AMP program, which you can find at amp.freetalklive.com. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. So if you like what Free Talk Live does, making itself available for people to call in and talk about literally anything they want, then you might consider contributing to the AMP program. Again, that's amp.freetalklive.com. Comes with a number of cool perks like the AMP-only Facebook group, the AMP-only call-in line on discord.freetalklive.com, as well as an AMP-only chat room there. And Dave Burns here is a platinum amplifier, meaning he chooses to give $25 per month to the AMP program. Now, we don't ask that much. $5 per month will get you into the AMP program, again, at amp.freetalklive.com. But Dave Burns, thank you so much for your contributions, and we hope to continue doing a show that you enjoy. Moving right along, we got our favorite other paranoid lunatic calling. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
So you're into name calling, are you?
Yeah.
It's a description. Paranoid. Well, I guess lunatic is a noun. Go ahead.
Well, I think if you ask people, it sounded more like name calling than description. So why are you into name calling?
James, have you not called me a tranny repeatedly?
And a Nazi?
I'm sorry, I meant David. But I mean, same thing.
You're calling him the wrong name now. You're name calling.
Well, eventually all of these insane lunatics just sort of bleed together in my head.
So the SHOT Show is going on right now in Vegas, I believe. This is turning into a very similar show.
The what show?
It's SHOT Show.
It's one of the biggest gun shows.
Free Talk Live, everybody listening, has kind of turned into its own SHOT Show.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now, what do you?
A for effort, David.
What cues do you take to take a shot?
So you're saying that we're a premier expo for people who want to know information about their industry, and like the SHOT Show, where they go to find out everything about guns, and it's one of the premier shows in the United States.
You're becoming way too cerebral. What I'm saying is that Aria really is a freak that is really ruining Free Talk Live. That's what I'm saying.
And that's somehow compared to one of the premier gun expos in Las Vegas?
You're going way too anal on this, Johnson.
Yeah, it's because of a different...
But, I mean, the SHOT Show is a fantastic expo where people come from all over the country, even the world, to come find out about guns.
You're welcome
in the
for
United
my
States.
service, David. No, David thinks I'm ruining Free Talk Live.
Change the letter O to the letter I.
Yeah, we got it, dude. It's just not funny.
I thought he was...
Wait, I don't understand. How does this relate? Because the SHOT Show is a great expo where people go to find guns and get all this information about, like, the newest guns and technology and, like, what's coming out and, like, see exhibitors. There are literally thousands of people that travel for this event.
The way it relates is that SHOT is spelled S-H-O-T, and Free Talk Live...
Thank you, English professor. Yeah, we get it. No, don't do it. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, but that's not what...
It's just not funny.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense because that expo, I mean, people travel... I think what's happening is you made a really good analogy because people go, like, thousands of people travel from all over the country to go to this to find out information about the topic that they're interested in.
Freak Talk Live. It's Freak Talk Live. Talk radio, you cunt troll.
I don't think you actually understand how these things work. You see, people are interested in those.
That's right. I don't understand anything.
I don't think you do.
I don't understand, Johnson.
So,
David, so are you going to the SHOT Show?
Johnson.
Are you interested in guns?
Johnson?
Are you going to the SHOT Show? It sounds like you're interested, just like you're interested in Free Talk Live, and you're listening to us right now.
But I am calling into the I can't say it, can I?
No,
Free Talk
you
Live
can't.
has become a
Yeah, David, we get it.
We get it, and you're listening.
Yeah, you're listening.
And just like you're talking about the SHOT Show in Las Vegas, you're also talking about that too.
Bye, David. Have a good night. I would hope that you appreciate that what made this segment a SHOT Show, as it were, was your call and nothing else.
I thought he was taking shots every time we said something quirky. Like every time Johnson does like a Bernie Sanders voice or something, or...
I thought he was saying that we were a premier source for information about a topic that people are interested in.
The expo?
And that thousands of people might literally travel from across the world to come and get information, just like they do to Vegas to go get information about the, premiere and news and information about
I don't think that was
guns.
it. But I hate when he calls at the end and brings us such a low note.
He's usually pretty entertaining, but this time he seemed to just be very upset.
Well, of course, because you've ruined the show.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
And I'm getting messages from mouth-breathing Dollard. Good God, this guy is just disgusting.
Yeah, you will have to just block him eventually.
I've only blocked one person in my life. I'm trying to keep it that way. I hate blocking people. I might just have to.
I mean, I hate blocking people too. He is the only person I've ever blocked on Discord, and it's just because it becomes tedious to deal with him.
Yeah.
So this software, Clearview AI, that pulled more than 3 billion images from Google, YouTube, Facebook, etc., has been used by more than 600 law enforcement agencies, according to the company, and it obviously declined to provide a list of who those companies were. The computer code underlying its app, analyzed by the New York Times, because that's who you would want analyzing your computer code and not like Red Hat organizations or anything like that, includes programming language to pair it with augmented reality glasses.
Yep.
Now, that's exactly what they're using in the Xinjiang provinces in China to monitor and identify the Uyghur population.
So, again, like I'm talking about databases that could be pulled together. So imagine if they had a database of registered firearms owners. Then the police could have a little pop-up over your head that has your name, your address, your phone number, and whether or not you could be possibly concealed carrying.
And or anti-vaxxers. And or homeschoolers.
Who knows what kind of information this could be tied to. If they have access to facial recognition, they have an identifier for you, and they can tie that to any particular database of information that they want.
Yeah.
And if the public gets access to this, that's when it's going to start to be really outrageous.
Well, I'm more concerned about the cops having access to it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I can't imagine a scarier world than the American police running around wearing their Google glasses, identifying people at a glance and finding out everything there is to know about them.
And just drumming up reasons to ticket you.
Isn't it already illegal for them to just run people's license plates as they drive down the street? I mean, that's essentially what
in New Hampshire, but not in many other states.
Well, that's essentially what this is, only in a much broader scale.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be no protection against it. And more than 600 law enforcement agencies are already using this database. And it's not just them. It's used by a handful of other companies for, quote, security purposes. I imagine among those is Walmart and Target, who are going to use it to identify past shoplifters and automatically have them escorted back out of the store. Or if you get banned from one Walmart for shoplifting, you get banned from all of them because they're all going to share the same database. None of this is good. It's a Pandora's box, and I don't know what to do about it because the box is open. People have always wanted it, and now it's here.
Well, maybe anti-face recognition hardware, like veils, glasses, some kind of glasses that actually, shoot off a hologram or something that changes your facial construction and tricks these devices.
But you'd have to wear that 24/7, and then of course you'd have signs get put up at Walmart and Target saying, "Hey, you cannot enter the premises wearing one of these devices."
Okay, your glass. All right, regular glasses, so not sunglasses or anything, but they're just like the glasses I'm wearing right now, and they shoot lasers out all over the place, and they distract any cameras that are trying to hone in on your face. I could see it working. Just lasers. Lasers will save us all.
So, facial recognition technology obviously has always been controversial. It makes people nervous about Big Brother, and I think it should, especially with what the Chinese government is using it for in the Xinjiang province.
And a lot of them like it, by the way.
A lot of who like it?
The Chinese.
Well, the Uyghurs don't.
The Uyghurs do not like it. The ones who can't get on a train, or they can't get a job, or they can't get credit.
Well, the Republicans here, the bootlickers here, they're going to love this as well. The Democrats will love it. Oh, we can take a glance and verify that your child has been vaccinated. We love this. And the Republicans, we can identify people who have past drug convictions.
I think both tribes will like it for different reasons, yes.
Yeah, and that's scary. Anyway, I want to also say thank you to Ryan Lange, who was yesterday's Silver Amplifier. Again, head on over to amp.freetalklive.com to check that out, or just go to freetalklive.com and check out the show archives going back more than 10 years since podcasting even began. Thanks for listening. We'll be back same time tomorrow. Again, head on over. That's freetalklive.com, or check out the video feeds at dlive.freetalklive.com.